Good googly moogly, was this a good chapter? First of all, Elbaf is off to such a rocketing start. Second of all, I love being right, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's break down the chapter. Chapter 1136 is titled The Land That Awaits the Sun. The cover art shows Yamato outside of a mysterious base that looks like Who's Who. I assume this is where the last of Kaido's goons are hiding out. The title of this chapter is interesting, by the way, but we will touch on that soon. The chapter opens with Luffy eating meat, saying moose tastes like dinosaur. Cute callback to Little Garden. And Chief Jarrell talks about humans mistaking Elbaf's underworld for Elbaf entirely. I guess we can assume that's why some of Loki's stinkmen are still down there. Usopp is enjoying the party by telling his tales. Jinbe is pointed out that his skin is so blue. Oh my god, Elbaf Giants, you can't just tell a fishman that his skin is blue. Sanji is having fun prancing amongst the Elbaf girls while they call him cute. Something I fully expected Oda to do. Oda has me on call for Sanji ideas, you can bet that. Brook sings a song about wondering what he is, and Zoro notes how surprised he is that not many giants have gone to sea. Rodo then tries to apologize for what he's done, which Zoro shrugs off, and tells Rodo he's lucky Usopp stopped him from fighting or he probably would have cut his head off. Side note, I absolutely love this Zoro panel. He's made this face twice now and I'm obsessed with the gremlin energy. The giants make a point that Rodo wouldn't stand a chance against the Straw Hats due to their bounties, and Rodo proceeds to talk about Elbaf's sun god, because apparently a dream everyone from Elbaf holds is to be the sun god and rule the world. Interesting. From here, the giants fight about what the sun god actually represents, and Chief Jarrell explains to Luffy that Elbaf holds an ancient text called the Harley that holds information of the sun god. However, because everyone's lost the ability to read it, this has caused different interpretations to pop up. These interpretations are: Nika is a god of liberation, a ruler, a god of destruction, or a god of laughter. Interesting. The solid that Chief Jarrell tells us is apparently Nika appears when the world is about to undergo a great transformation. Interesting. Finally, Chief Jarrell says those without hope seek Nika out the most, and explains Nika's appearance. Luffy laughs and realizes why people keep mistaking him for Nika, but then says it has nothing to do with him. That's my goat. We find out both the deceased King Harold and Loki tried to be Nika, and the giants get mad at Jarrell trying to rationalize Loki's actions. We discover Loki has a terrible reputation due to what he'd done as a child, which entailed arson, devastation, and training animals, apparently. He also had been prophesied to kill his own father when he was born. Apparently, he did. Loki was then caught rampaging on sea, where Shanks caught him, and we're told Shanks is on Elbaf, but we're given a panel of Zoro drinking quietly. Ominous. Zoro figures out Luffy was acting weird because of his encounter with Loki, and tells Luffy that Loki may want to take advantage of him, but he says he's just basing it on reputation, cause he hasn't actually met the guy. Incredibly ironic for Zoro to say. Nami appears to bring them to the castle with Rodo in tow, as she's made Rodo her new servant, with the goal of getting the keys to Loki's chains. Nami, on the other hand, is only there for money, and I only find myself loving Nami more and more. Finally, the chapter ends with the Holy Knights appearing to talk to Loki, seemingly wanting to make him a Holy Knight, and we're introduced to Gunko. Yes, apparently that is how you say her name. Gunko. Her appearance is already incredibly unsettling, with her mismatched eyes, military-inspired fit, and her whole artillery hanging out. But it seems her bandage power correlates with her sleeves. And I do love this design due to how uncanny she makes me feel, especially how she doesn't seem to feel the cold in a cold climate. There is obviously something not all there with her, and I personally feel the danger radiating from her look. In seconds, she has a huge wolf tied by the throat, telling Loki she'll kill it if Loki doesn't work with them, which Loki declines. He expresses his anger, expresses his sadness, expresses how a warrior should die, and yells that he'll feed off this rage to end the world. The chapter ends on Loki's crazy face, and my mind is tingling from how much information we've received. To start off, Oda is still purposefully hiding both Shanks' face and arm. I'm still not completely convinced this isn't Shanks, but I can also be convinced this is Shanks. Oda is such a wild card that I can see him going either way with this. So I'll reserve my Shanks not Shanks thoughts for until we have more information. But it has been told to us that Loki has actually met Shanks. I am going to burst out laughing if Loki hates Shanks because Shanks fumbled yet another baddie on the seas. This would make it 3 for 3. Now, when it comes to Zoro, I love to see I was right. Zoro was definitely on edge throughout the party, especially considering he didn't get sloshed like everyone else. But it seems to be due to Luffy. Zoro picked up that Luffy was acting weird, and he'd gotten Luffy to spit out the deal he'd made with Loki. In regards to Zoro's thoughts on Loki, I find it hilarious he is only basing his assumptions on Loki's reputation, because Luffy only met and joined Zoro due to Luffy ignoring Zoro's own reputation at the time. The same thing has happened with Luffy and Robin, with Luffy ignoring Robin's reputation, and Luffy and Law, with Luffy ignoring Law's reputation and ignoring the negative Pirate Alliance reputation to partner up with Law. For all these reasons is why I trust Luffy's judgment, and why I do believe Loki is going to be someone we can trust, because this song has been sung before. I always trust Luffy, and Luffy has never led me astray. On the other hand, irony aside, I understand Zoro's concern. While he's been in a pretty similar position to Loki, he's an anxious guy when it comes to his crew. He wants to make sure everyone is safe, so he's noting all possibilities. And it's similar to how he acted with both Nami and Robin's betrayal in Arlong Park and Water 7. Zoro is a protector. He cares about his crew. He's going to tread carefully with strangers. On the other hand, these two running off together surely will not lead to good things. Nami is with them, thankfully, but Zoro and Luffy are pretty well known to only cause problems. This same thing happened at the start of Wano, where Luffy and Zoro blew the Straw Hat's cover to give Law a headache. And it happened in Onigashima, when the crew despaired at Zoro and Luffy running off by themselves. And we got a panel at the beginning of Elbaf of Sanji yelling at Zoro for encouraging Luffy's bad habits. It's been pretty well confirmed Zoro doesn't really stop Luffy, but enable him. And I can only hope Nami will be a good enough impulse control. But I doubt it, because her own impulse control is blinded by money right now. Either way, I'm smelling chaos. And we can only hope they don't run into the two knocked out giant guards, get discovered in the castle by other giants, accidentally reveal they're trying to free Loki, and get framed for beating up some giants. We can only hope, but surely that's a long shot, right? Right? Watch as I'm totally wrong, but it would be funny. The most interesting part of this chapter is the exposition of Nika, and the reveal that King Harold was apparently trying to replicate Nika. Considering Nika is seen in multiple different ways, how did King Harold interpret it? And more than that, why is it implied that the Holy Knights have a portal into King Harold's throne room? Even more than that, why does it look as if King Harold's sword is the one lodged into Geralt's head? His portrait shows him holding a sword with bent handles, and no one else seems to have this same sword, apart from the one in Geralt's head. The only guy who witnessed Harold's murder has a sword lodged in his head, by the way. Very nice. Considering reputation and misinformation is a constant theme in One Piece, I can only imagine both Harold and Loki have reputations that are not true to their actual persons. Loki has the reputation of being a monster, but it's implied he's not that way at all, due to the previous chapter revealing a kindness he happens to hide. On the other hand, Harold is revered as a kind, glorious king, but we haven't actually seen anything of the guy. Apparently he wanted peace, but I can only assume this peace isn't authentic, and I have to wonder if Loki may be the only person who actually knows of Harold's true nature. It seems Harold wanted to form alliances with other countries, and he has a portal in his throne room for the Holy Knights. So is it possible Harold was trying to polish Elbaf's reputation so he could join the world government? We already know Elbaf has no affiliations with it due to getting no access to news coups, and we know the power a nation can be given if being under the world government. Not only that, Kaido's story showed us an instance of the king of that land being given the opportunity to join the Reverie if they used Kaido as a bargaining piece. Therefore, is it possible Harold wanted to use his own powerful son as a bargaining tool to join the world government and the Reverie, therefore causing Loki to lash out? For all I know, Harold actually was a kind king, but there's a clear ominous presence around Elbaf. Not only that, this chapter is titled The Land That Awaits the Sun, implying Elbaf is awaiting a new dawn. Interesting, since again, we have been told Elbaf has entered a new dawn in previous chapters. So the title is indicating this new dawn Elbaf is in may, in fact, be a lie, and they're waiting for the real sun to rise over their land. They're awaiting a true era of peace. But remember, this is all speculation. I'm not Oda. One last thing to note is how this new depiction of Nika is somewhat different, as he's holding a sword and shield instead of a spear. Not only that, the Buccaneers were convinced Nika was the god of liberation, and liberation only. They didn't have multiple interpretations like the giants do. I love this, because there's a showing of text being lost to time. Whoever Nika is, and whatever he did, has been scrambled into a mythological mess. Not only that, different island cultures will have different versions of Nika. Elbaf uses swords as a primary tool, so their Nika depiction holds a sword. The question now is, where did Nika first originate from? The text says the world has apparently ended 2 times before this. So, according to those numbers, that's 2 Nikas in history. I don't believe Joy Boy is Nika, but the second coming of Nika, as Nika's history seems to precede Joy Boy's. My bet is Nika originated from Jaya and the Shandia tribe, as he seems to always be depicted in the sky. And although the Shandian people were not sent into the sky until a few centuries ago, they did have wings on their back. I still think Nika was just some guy who unlocked the Gum Gum Fruit's power, and I still believe both Joy Boy and Luffy are that too. I don't think this is any chosen hero stuff, but regular people who just had the will to change misdeeds that angered them in the world. Because not only has Luffy Luffy been inspired by others to change what he once changed, but Luffy has inspired others to do such things too. My only concern now is, in Elbaf, Nika has the reputation of being the god of destruction amongst some. As we know, Luffy resembles Nika. So is it possible Luffy will receive a bad reputation and gets targeted as a god of destruction? Could this idea make it past Elbaf and be pushed to the world that Luffy is a pirate, man, and god of destruction? In the same way, Roger was seen as a monster both during and after his life due to being Pirate King. Even though we know Roger was just a chill guy. I don't know. I never know. But misfortune seems destined to follow Luffy. And with that, what do you think? Is Luffy heading to a world of chaos? Is King Harold someone you trust? Is this Shanks or Spanks? Let me know because I love hearing it. But just be nice to each other. We are civil in this book club. Please take note I only read the officials, so these chapter videos will only coincide with the officials. If you'd like to see my chapter reactions in real time, you can join me on Twitch or my YouTube VOD channel. Please be aware they're a bit rambly because I get too excited about One Piece to collect myself in my live streams. Thank you, and bye.